Hey everyone, it's James. It's about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, June 2nd. I'm going to talk about the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, BTC, USD on the Bitfinex exchange. But first of all, I want to talk about the NASDAQ. But before I do that, let me just say it's not investment advice. This is done for educational purposes only. So what we can see, and I've talked about this in Bitcoin, right? I talked about the bubble that occurred. Okay, the bubble is not necessarily about the percentage gain. It's largely weighted on what happens psychologically to the traders in that market. So people become frenzied, they make irrational decisions, do stupid things. The mainstream media is all over it. It's the next, best thing since sliced bread. Everybody's going to become maker rich. Just put your money in, forget it, and sell all your valuables, and you'll become a trillionaire tomorrow. Like that irrational thinking starts to really peak, and then what happens is the implosion, because it can't be sustained. There's just this insane irrational decision making, and of course it's going to implode on itself. And a lot of people who didn't think it was going to happen during the dot-com bubble, during like the Beanie Baby craze, during like the Twinkie bubble. I mean, there's been so many bubbles in so many different markets. It's been absolutely crazy. But the thing is, is during this bubble stage, nobody ever believes it's going to happen, and then it happens. And what has to happen thereafter is a return to normalization. And that's kind of what you see here in the stock market that happened in the NASDAQ after the tech bubble exploded. Then we had to return to normalization. And yes, there's money to be made. And yes, it's not the end of the market. And I feel like some people will probably think that when I talk about this bubble phase to this return to normalization, but you can see this in the chart, right? It doesn't mean that Bitcoin's necessarily going to do this like crazy crap, like rise from here and just skyrocket up, rocket down, or anything like that, right? They're two different markets. But the point is that you can see from the bubble top what occurred. About 15 years after, we came back to rival that top, and now we've well exceeded this bubble top back here, okay? So we're returned to normalization, builds the base, builds the foundation, the integrity of that market. It tells everybody this market's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. That's it. You feel confident in putting your money and investing in this, right? Attracting longer term traders, big institutional money, hundreds of millions to hundreds of billions of dollars. Really hundreds of billions is what you want to see. But the thing is that we need that foundation. And that's what I believe we are seeing occur in Bitcoin at this time. Hang on real quick. Let me just pull up the right chart. Okay, so that is what I believe. Yes, the market's smaller. Like when we look at this market and you're like, oh, but it's just a blip on the radar. It's still the same thing. We still had a bubble to where the irrational decision making reached a peak of literal insanity, okay? Just the craziest crap you'd ever see in the world. You could go back to the articles and everything that was occurring. There was some really crazy things occurring, okay? So what we're seeing now is that return to normalization in Bitcoin, okay? And it's not that it's going to piss a lot of people off the same way the NASDAQ did. Everyone got so pissed off after the tech bubble imploded, and everyone's like, you know what, it's not going to go anywhere, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have the little memes where the guy's like poking the Bitcoin rock saying, Bitcoin, do something. But the point is that it's going to take time. And I've reiterated this on, I think, just about every single video now. And I'll do so because I don't think there's going to be a lot of people out there that are really going to go over this. And we can visually see this, right? You don't have to just take my word for it because I'm just some random dude on YouTube. But we can visually see this by doing something simple like this, right? We have these waves that are occurring. These waves are becoming smaller. If this next wave ends up like this, then we're getting smaller and smaller, and we're returning to a horizontal slope, a point of indecision, kind of like what we saw in the NASDAQ after it exploded. Yes, we rose up, and yes, it was a slow rise, but that's the point. we may grind along this green line. And this green line is showing us that there are more buyers entering this market than there are sellers, which is obviously a positive sign, okay? We had a short-term change as well. We broke the selling line, showing that sellers are now losing control of this market and buyers are coming in yet once again. I talked about breaking this line in yesterday's video and the prior videos as well too. These lines tell us what is occurring in the market, right? It tells us the weather. So as long as we maintain the green line and we keep a series of higher lows, okay, even if we grind like this, we are still at an uptrend and unfortunately at a very stretched out bull market where you can make money, but it is just going to move slower and it's more of like a churn, okay? And that churn is building that base. And if Bitcoin can survive the base, right? And we survive this churning and we're able to maintain the uptrend, then I do think at some point in the future we will see the bigger money come in. Like I was checking the futures volume and it was like 2,000 contracts, I think on BTC that traded on Friday. I have to go back and double check. I forgot what date I was looking at, but anyways, the point is, like, that's such a small number of futures contracts. Yes, that's about 76 million. I think it is 76 million leveraged because you're using 5 contracts or 5 per one contract that you buy. So about $76 million worth at about today's money that we're seeing transacted in the market. And it seems like a lot, but that's nothing. I mean, that's like a drop in the bucket in like the gold futures market. Like it's literal crap. But the point is that if we can base out and build this nice foundation in the market, then I definitely think that this market in the future could start to see that big money. Now, the big money is not necessarily the savior, okay? Because people will think that with gold and think that, oh, because there's big money in gold, it's not going to be heavily manipulated and whipped around. No, you're sorely mistaken. You better believe that once the big money enters, the real battle begins, and there will be good moves, but there's going to be a lot of volatility too when they come in. And you can look at a chart of gold, and that thing's like a wild and crazy roller coaster because there's such big money in there to where you can watch like 20,000 contracts dump in 5 minutes and just completely hammer the market and then just watch it get bidded back up like literally in the next bar or two. So it becomes a big problem because now you have big players that know this is a hot market and know there are a lot of guppies trying to swim in it to make money, and they are going to whip people around like crazy, right? And we see that in this market. We see that in the crypto market to where price just gets hammered, and then all of a sudden one major big bar occurs, price runs, everyone starts to pile in, the mainstream media starts to hammer it like get in, this is the best thing, that's it, it's going to the moon, going to the moon, going to the moon. Bam, everybody gets whacked and smashed right out, okay? We're starting to see that, but believe me, the bigger money steps in, it's going to get more exacerbated than what it currently is now, and people are really going to get put in the washer machine. So, but anyways, I don't want to go on a rant about that, but I'm trying to talk about the bigger picture, right? It's Saturday. There's not much new to report on, so I'm just trying to touch about the bigger picture on what I'm going to talk about in the future, so my subs always know where I'm at, and then anyone new to the videos knows exactly what I'm thinking and where I'm coming up with this, so you don't think I'm just talking on my rear about this, because I do talk about the markets in a much different perspective than everybody else out there on the YouTube and everywhere else. So, but that's pretty much it. We're breaking the downtrend line. As long as we hold above the 69.40, we're on a nice solid uptrend. The next price objective for Bitcoin to get above is 9,990. Once we're able to break above 9,990, then we will set a new high, okay? And then we're starting to see this. And then by breaking that, not only are we setting a new high, but we're also changing these arches that are forming, right? So we're starting to see these little arches form, and as they get, if we're able to change the direction and start heading higher, then obviously we're going to see that direction change, but start to see bigger moves in the market. And I believe from there, we'll start to see more of this action occur, okay? But it's going to require a bigger base. And eventually from there, bust out 11,700, bust out 17,000, bust out 20,000, okay? So hopefully that makes sense to everybody. I try to talk a little bit slower on this video. You'll probably have to 2 times speed me, so it's not crazy, but I'm just kind of downloading my mind on the bigger picture into, onto the internet, so everyone understands where I'm coming from, and everybody understands that when I'm talking about like price rising or price going flat, it's not that I'm crapping on the market. I do believe this market will last a very long time. It's here to stay. The problem is, will people hang on long enough and ride out the blatant manipulation, or will a lot of them give up? And I see a lot of people giving up, and it's kind of like we're kind of really dividing a wedge between people to where they're either extremely bullish or they're just extremely bearish, and they're just like, screw this, and they're completely done with the market, right? So that's the camp, and that's why we're seeing this yet once again, okay? So understand that there's a lot this chart can tell you. There's a lot charts can tell you. It's not just about indicators. It's not about the relative strength, the TSI, the MACD, etc. It is about what is occurring and what these buyers and sellers are doing. And using simple lines, you can get a better understanding of what's happening in the specific asset, right? And in this case, it's Bitcoin. So hopefully everything makes sense. And sorry for making such an elongated video today. My video time is almost looking like this, right? But all joking aside, if you do find the information valuable, you do like the videos, please like, comment, subscribe. I do thank you for your time. I thank you for your support. I thank all my subscribers. I really appreciate all the positive feedback I get from everybody. It's been a real blessing just to put this information out there and have people, not only learn from it, but really enjoy it. So I'll talk to everybody tomorrow evening, and that will probably be about, I don't know, maybe 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. If you've not joined the Slack channel, you can join that. There's over like 340 something members now. People from all over the world. It's cryptocurrency oriented. Everyone's extremely friendly. It's just a nice environment to be a part of. And you can find that link as well as my social media links at my website, geometriccharts.com. And then I also have a subscription service where I do videos morning, night, and I communicate with my subs throughout the day if they have any questions and etc. And you can learn more about that at geometriccharts.com. Other than that, have a great night, have a great day, have a great weekend.